Alright, Bing. Welcome to my trade recap segment. So I'll be going over today's trade. So let's take it back to my entry window from 1 a.m. So I get up and at this point I annotate my chart. I set my guidelines. So I look to the last 2 days profile and I see that we're trading above it. Yesterday is currently above it. Thursday trended, so today wants to continue higher. At this point, my thesis is to catch a break and continuation entry. So I'm at the chart and boom, my criteria have been met. So let's mark out what I did exactly. There we go, fixed range volume profile. So I take this current zone and I catch it right up. So bing, it gives me my level and I'm on go right now. Green light. So that's my entry level. So what I do is I go in with a 40 pip stop loss and take profit of 1-to-1. That's my standard. And I go in with a budget of $500. So I'm at 74. We can round it off to 75. And let's drop off to 35. Let's see. 35. Bang. And like I said, go for my 1-to-1. But actually, before I did this, I did mark out my current range. So I noticed we had this zone right here. Now I consider these range balancing zones. When you see these, just know the price is going to continue. I'm going to just label it support. Keep it nice, short, and sweet. So bing, this is me right here. And at this point, so the entry is to go for 1-to-1 unless I have a particular criteria to aim for more. But, I brought out the crystal ball last night. So I said, you know what, we've been trending. So we should go higher. So I'm going to just target the closest or the next level of the range. I'm going to go to 50% of the range. That's why I've read it marked out. So in my head, I'm saying, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to just take the risk today. Right? So that's the entry. So fast forward, I'm asleep at this point, but let's just pretend I'm awake. And boom, there we go, entry. So I'm risking 500 at this point, right? But actually, before I did that, I said, you know what? Since I'm anticipating that we trend higher, we technically shouldn't trade below the last 2 days point of control. So instead of me taking a full loss in case price does come below here, I'm gonna just minimize my drawdown. I'm gonna carry a little bit higher, right? So yeah, now, okay, yeah, bing. So at this point, I'm risking $300 instead of that $500. For the sake of this video, let me just put the pricing. That's incorrect, but I was risking $300 to make $900. So I'm asleep at this point, and by 8:30, I got up, and I was in the market, and I was like, this ain't looking too good, but I trust the entry model. And then I'm like, by the time it's 9:30, if things don't look good, I'm gonna just go for the 1-to-1, right? So at 9 a.m., watch this, right? At 9 a.m., motherfucking power turns off. I'm like, no wait. I'm thinking, okay, this must be a test from God. But you know what? I'm not gonna trip. I trust the entry model, and at the end of the day, if I lose, I lose. But I'm gonna just take the next trade. So bing, power's off. And what happens? We spike up, but we don't might take profit. And I take the loss. And at that point, I'm like, what can I learn from this? And I look, had I gone for the 1-to-1, I would have won my $500. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just eat it. I'm swallow that. I ain't got no choice. So I say, you know what, I just attack the AM session. So bang, fast forward, power's still off. By 11 a.m. power cuts on and I'm in the market. Let's clean up. And as I'm in the market, I say, you know what, let me mark my zones. And I actually have it written down. Hold on, I'm gonna put it up on stream. So I'm like, what's my current range? I have my resistance and then I have my support, which is right here. So that's my current range. So while your mind is blank, here's what was going on in mine. Right? Friday, July 18th, the trade won using a 1-to-1 standard. However, since I went for a 1-to-2, I lost. You should trade higher. However, this is simply a lesson. Follow the main plan. Then if you have extension criteria, take it. Nothing more, nothing less. Losing factor, I assumed. New York AM session. As I'm viewing the charts, the first thing that popped into my head was mark out the current range. I'm on electronic trading hours. I marked the external resistance zone created, which is right here. And I noticed low volume areas, which I marked, which is actually right here. Right? I see that we're bouncing off of one, and there's an internal support all the way below, which is here. I say, what are my options? Either I use a session breaking continuation or a void zone entry model. But what's the tendency? Do I buy or sell? I've already lost $377, so I'll deduct it by my budget of $500, giving me $127. And I really think on it. We weren't supposed to break below if we truly wanted to buy, so I should sell. Also, once we broke the 2-day profile, that means we trended below, so we have sell momentum. I should actually look for a range trade since these are the characteristics of such. I go on the 1-minute time frame, and it's currently 11:07. Right? I take my fixed range tool, and I see a large candle with a big wick at 10 a.m. So I place my tool here to view the range, giving me my void node zone. I see 10:45 a.m. rejected the first available zone at the 1-minute time frame. At the 1-minute time frame, however, I paid no mind since my master time frame holds my zone, and my 1-minute time frame is my entry zone. Right? I check back with my 9:30 a.m. profile, and current session is D-shaped. I look at my last 2-day profile and it's P-shaped. I see my 3-minute node zone entry. I see my 3-minute node entry zone is below the last 2 days 9:30 a.m. point of control. So it looks good to me. Shit. I notice there's a 3-minute zone below the low volume node area. It's not void. There's a more clean void zone below. However, I'll go with the first option. I want to lessen my chances of missing this trade and profits. There's a 75 psychological level right above the zone, so that's my take profit. And basically, all of that was just me saying, here's my current range. Here's a low volume trading zone, which we bounced off of, right? I'm assessing. If you have my book, I mean it's not out yet, but right, you would have known what I'm talking about. Oh, give me a minute. You would have known what I'm talking about. I was looking for my 9:30 a.m. entry, but everything was blurry. So I said, actually, this is my range trading opportunity. So I'm on the 1-minute time frame, right? Bear with me. I get my fixed range profile tool, and I look at the current trading range. I go from it was 11:07, and I go from 10 a.m. because that's when we made the rejection and we got this big ass whip. So I notice 10:45 a.m. rejected this zone, but I don't pay no mind because if you know what I'm doing, the 3 minute time frame holds my entry zone, and there we go. So at this point, I'm like, all right, cool. I only got $127, but I'm not tripping because that's still more than you guys make on the plantation. So I'm like, you know what, cool. I'm gonna bet this 127, and I'm gonna target the current zone below. So I go for my 20 pip stop loss. I'm at 42. Let's go to 62. Bing. So at this point, I'm risking $127 to make $400, right? So I look and I say, do we have a cleaner zone? And in that paragraph, I established that this was the correct zone, or the better zone, I should say, since we're range trading. So that's the range low, and I'm entering at the range high. But I said, I want to lessen the chances of me failing because I want to make my money. So I know it's a 75 psychological level, which price tends to reverse to. But I forgot to put it there, so I just left it right here. And at this point, I'm like, winning or losing doesn't matter. It's the long-term process. So I set that up, and I go on with the rest of my day. And like I said, at this point, I'm risking $127 to make $400. All right, I just leave that as reference. This isn't the correct thing, but I'm gonna just leave it as reference. So I check back, and I see I'm in profit, and bing, I'll actually put it on stream. But I was like, when I came back, I was like, losing or winning doesn't matter. Once I follow my guidelines, I'll be profitable in the long term. Like I was supposed to go for that 1-to-1, but didn't. Yeah, once I follow my guidelines, I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna be good. And that was the trade. And I'm gonna put on stream. It in live. But nonetheless, this was today's trade, and I went on about my day. Out.